Hello guys, Wilcher speaking. Welcome to LJPCBM episode number 729. And today I'll be reacting to Jake's Having the Style of the Show, episode 8. Phillip Wilcher, the composer, and the original fifth Wiggle, who was on the Wiggles before, from 91 and 92, and so much more. And without further ado, let's react to this begin in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Hi, I'm Jake, and welcome to the newest podcast on YouTube called Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show.
Okay.
We interview people involved with good shows and more from our childhoods. We'll be sharing our favorite memories, some behind-the-scenes moments, and so much more. I'm your host, Jake Doubleball, and welcome to this Happy Nostalgia Show episode.
Okay. Moving on. Let's compose some Phil Wilcher. Moving on. Next.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show. I'm your host Jake, and
Oh, whoa, wait. Is this wait. I thought it was in video only, but no, it was in audio, but continue on.
of course, I always say every single time, like 8th time for this, that I always want to say every single time. Our co-hosts, Chris Bixby, Matthew Johnson, and Wyatt McCullough. How are you three?
Good.
Very awesome. Especially what we have for our guest today. But before we get into, introducing this, the guest for this, I'm gonna say this. I think probably three of you will agree with me on this. A couple of weeks, like last couple episodes we've done, like Dave Thompson, Brian Woodbury, that is amazing. For how much Brian writes so much songs for Big Blue House, and Dave, talked about his times, being a comedian and his time as performer as Take a Wiki. It's really amazing to have those interviews like that for how much we grew up with, and especially for the whole show that we experienced. Right now, that is amazing. So, and we appreciate so much for the support, which we appreciate a lot. Anyway, so last week we got a composer.
Wow.
This episode we are having another composer here. So the guest we're having he is a Australian pianist. If you guys don't know what the heck it is, it's basically like piano musician, which that's what's it called for Australia. He's also a composer. And best known for him being a fifth Wiggle for the Wiggles, which he was only a Wiggle for the debut album in 1991, which is also the Wiggles' 30th anniversary, and that's what the year started, which is 1991, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And here he is. And we're gonna talk about stuff, of his composing, what he's done, and Wiggles, wherever you name it. But anyways, can I want to applause to Phillip Wilcher. Phillip, how are you?
I'm doing really well. Hey, at the outset, can I just say that this year, especially with the 30th anniversary of the debut album and the Wiggles' beginnings, I think back in March for my birthday, I started receiving lots of messages of gratitude and well-being from Wiggles fans who had grown up, much like yourself and everybody. And at the time, I had no idea why I was receiving these messages, and they were overwhelmingly beautiful messages.
Wow.
And then I realized that it was the 30th anniversary of the Wiggles' beginnings and the debut album. And I am just so grateful to have been remembered by everybody with such kindness.
Which is awesome, because I saw in the early this year while I was listening to AC/DC's new album, Power Up, and when that happened, oh my god, 30th anniversary of the Wiggles happened, plus the Wiggles 30th anniversary, plus the whole, I can't remember what it was, do a Power with the Sesame Street crossover. I'm like, really, dude? Really? I never seen much of that, and yeah, continue on.
And it has meant a lot. So thank you.
Yeah, of course.
You're very welcome. I'm so glad that so much was fans just know you in general, and it's really amazing for. But of course, no problem. And I'm glad you're doing well, especially what's been going on. Of course, COVID and everything. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's difficult COVID crap. I don't want to cause this thing during the Phillip Wilcher reaction video, but that's just me. But the thing is, it's just Julie Woodruff just said, "Please stay safe this weekend. Thank you, good night," and then all of that became downhill from there. Continue on.
Out that you so well. So
It's a difficult time for the world over, I think.
Yeah.
COVID, but I think it's a problem that has to be treated collectively. I think rather than we all have to work together to get through this.
Especially
and we will get through it. Yeah, we will get through it.
Yeah, I agree.
Very true. Which I know Australia is having a difficult time with it right now. So, but,
yes.
Pray.
Pray.
What was that?
We're all in this together, is what I said.
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
Yes,
High School Musical reference.
Oh.
Yeah. I agree with this whole High School Musical bits and pieces. Yeah, I got these High School Musical collection, but I don't listen to them anymore because I'm a metalhead and rock and classic rock and of course children's music, which you are, Phillip. Continue on.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Of course.
So, I'm gonna start off with this question that's very very cool for starting off. So, how you start became that you wanted to know what you do? Of course, a pianist and composer and everything and whatever you inspired for where you are and being today, and how that all happened and where you are now.
Oh, okay. That's going back to my childhood. Of course. I was 8 years of age when I had my first piano lesson.
Wow.
And how that came about, my father and mother, we had gone to an awards night for the local swimming carnival, which was held just down the road from where I live in a hall. And at this particular night, there were two pianists either side of the hall playing.
Wow.
Playing the piano. And it fascinated me. And from that moment on, I wanted to learn to play the piano. And my father, I think much to my mother's surprise, bought a piano without even knowing if I would really take to it. Bought a small upright piano for me, and I received my first lessons at 8 years of age. And it wasn't probably until around about I was 12 or whatever that I wanted to have an original manuscript of a living composer, like a piece of music written in their own hand. And I knew that there was a wonderful Australian composer named Miriam Hyde who lived nearby, and she became my mentor. And,
Wow.
She was the most extraordinarily generous and kind woman. And I wrote her and asked her if she would send me an original manuscript, and she sent me this manuscript in her own hand. I didn't know from a bar of soap, but she sent me a manuscript as a gift, and from that moment on, I then thought I wanted to write music. And my earliest memory of wanting to write music was being sprawled out on the lounge room floor with sheets of blank manuscript paper in front of me, and I had no idea how to notate music. But I made up fanciful titles for pieces of music that I hoped I would write one day, and even designed covers for them, like Dance of the Bat or Gladiator's Dance, without really knowing how to write music. And I just stuck at it. And the very first piece of music I wrote, I sent to Miriam Hyde, and she became my mentor really for over 30 years. So that's how I got into writing music. And I have been blessed throughout my life to have musicians far greater than myself take me under wing and train me and mentor me. And most of them have done it without seeking any reward for themselves. So when I try to mentor younger musicians now, within my heart, I feel that I'm paying their legacy forward to younger people through me. It's to pay the good deed forward. So that's how I got into writing music, and that's my, I suppose you'd say, my what I feel my purpose is in life, to express myself through music and through writing words, and to hopefully inspire other people to find themselves through that. That's how I got into it. Yeah.
Wow,
that's awesome.
it's really awesome of what experience and the joyful way you get for being what you want to do and for all this that what you do. And I'm glad that you're really blessed about what you're doing because it's really important that if you're what you're doing, if you're blessed for doing it, then of course you want to keep going. That's what happy of life.
Yeah, I think generally life itself is a blessing. Even the hardships that you experience throughout life.
Right.
The trick is to turn the hardship into your hardship and sail on through it. No matter what
Right.
you face, however difficult the problem.
Yeah.
Nothing is ever sent to you that you cannot carry on your shoulders because it wouldn't have been sent to you in the first place. Any difficulty that you face in life, for example, it's there to show you that you've got the courage to deal with it.
Yeah.
And that's been
Guys, go dog. Continue on.
been my entire belief right throughout life. Right throughout
Wow,
life. So
okay.
everything is a blessing, no matter what it is. It just depends on how you look at it.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really amazing what you've done for it. That can be for what you've done. So we really appreciate it and for
Yeah,
what you've done.
still.
They know you to the people who knows that knows him that people knows you from being a composer or a musician like past and your YouTube channel too. So it's really
Thank you.
what's
But
too.
I'm going to say to you and to Chris and to Matthew and Wyatt, you're doing it yourselves now. You're doing it with your work at YouTube. Because what you're doing in interviewing other people, not thinking of me right now, but in the people you've interviewed in the past.
Yeah, I agree.
I
I agree with Phillip Wilcher at this point. Yeah. At a time like this, when I did reaction videos to Alex Perry's content, he did say things. Well, for example, Bonzi Watch, my reaction to Bonzi Watch on the 25 channel, which I react. He thinks that it was so hilarious for me to that Bonzi's like scared the, excuse my language, but scared the frick out of me. But I'm not gonna say whatever the hell it was. But at a time like this, he just said that I just said at the end of the video, stating that, "Oh man, you scared the frick out of me, man!" And then all of a sudden, I was freaked out. I was just scared to have my taking a shower and get ready to have my birthday shower for my 26th birthday, and then afterwards, I was done. Get ready to celebrate 4th of July. So there's your answer or anything, Alex. Continue on.
You're creating, you're putting a spotlight on the legacy that they're going to leave. And this
Yeah.
is your
Especially for my content, as the squad. But over the years, I started making movies, and then I got to make content with YouTube at the time, and then now I wanted to make all I wanted to do on YouTube, and all this stuff was to make content. That was it. Continue on.
legacy. So you are doing exactly the same thing. You're giving of yourselves, and that's
Yeah.
a really beautiful thing.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We appreciate the words.
No, you're
Yeah.
welcome.
Also, no problem, by the way. You said things from what I said earlier. Also, is there anything you want to say, Wyatt?
What? I mean, tell me, each of you. I mean, I know you.
Okay.
What was that?
Mm-hmm.
What was that? Hold on.
Say it, Wyatt.
What? I mean, tell me, each of you. I mean, I know you.
Okay.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, what was that noise? Continue on.
Mm-hmm.
I got one. How did the Wiggles come about?
How did the Wiggles come about?
Yeah, like I'm sure a lot of fans who are watching this interview are wondering, like, how did you get started in the Wiggles? Like, how did that opportunity come about?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I was. This is going back, I think, to probably it was 1989. I was
Wow.
looking.
Samir's a Miracle from Queen came out, and I was only about the age of I wasn't born yet. I was like 6 years. It was the same year as Remix was born. I have no words to say. I don't know what to say. I was like 6 years old. Sorry. Continue on.
For part-time work.
Mhm.
I had worked for the ABC in the early 80s.
Wow.
And then after working for the ABC, I took on a job as a pianist for, believe it or not, a doctor. His name was Dr. Jeffrey Edelston. And he
Wow, okay.
operated 24-hour medical centers, and they were very lavish kind of medical centers. And he employed me as pianist to play in 3 medical centers. I treated it as being like music therapy. You know.
Wow, okay.
And when I left that job, I was looking for a part-time job, which would allow me also to focus more on my work as a composer without, impacting too much on my creativity. And another musician friend of mine had told me that there was a part-time job going at the Institute of Early Childhood for what was termed a music assistant. And
Wow.
The lecturer there in early childhood music was a wonderful lady by the name of Rosemary Howe. And Rosemary was an inspired teacher, and she taught the Wiggles everything that they know.
Okay.
In that I said she taught Anthony, Murray, and Greg everything they know. But Rosemary had some health concerns. She wasn't always terribly well, and the reason why she was seeking an assistant was because she needed someone to help her hold up, the program that she was teaching to support her. So I took that job. I got that job, and it was only a 17-hour-a-week position for me. I was only working there at the Institute of Early Childhood for 17 hours, and it wasn't an entire year. My contract began at March, and it finished in November every year. And basically what I would do as Rosemary's assistant, I would prepare everything that she needed to teach the students. And when she was off for health concerns, when she wasn't there on campus to teach, then I not that I would teach, but I would know what the students had to do and give them their work. So, and it was in 1990, I think, that I first met Anthony.
Wow. It was very big for Anthony and you at the time. So, Anthony Field, and I am like freaking out about stuff when it comes with the Wiggles, and I was a huge fan of that gig. The Wiggles. When I started becoming a fan of that show, it was 2000s. Continue on.
And he used to, I suppose he more or less searched me out. He would come to the music room office where I was early of a morning, and sometimes I'd hear him coming down the street where the campus was, and I'd hear him playing a tin whistle, and it was a bit like the Pied Piper, and I'd know that was Anthony coming, and he'd come up and we'd play music together and whatever. And it was towards the end of 1990 that he said that he had this idea of doing a CD of children's music, pretty much based on everything that he had learned from Rosemary and her curriculum. And he asked me if I would be involved in it, and I said yes. And my memory is that I was the first person he asked, and then he went to ask Greg. And the reason why I think that is so is because in Greg's autobiography of 2011, I think
which I haven't read before, which is part of my book review series. Continue on.
It's mentioned that Anthony had phoned him at his parents' home in December of 1990 to ask him if he would be interested. Well, Anthony asked me in November of that year, and since my contract finished at the Institute of Early Childhood in November.
Yeah, according to the biography of Greg, was wrong. I haven't read about it when it comes with this whole book, which is coming to my book review series. But the thing is, I have to read it soon. But that's just me. Continue on.
I remember being the first person that you asked, and that's how that came about. And it went from there. And I think we recorded the Dabo album probably around February or March of 1991. I can't remember, but yeah, it was not long after that we went into the studio and recorded everything. Done for it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how I became involved. It was at Anthony's request.
Oh,
That's really cool.
That's really amazing. So I just want to say that also congrats for being on the placement of wherever they said about the teacher that by the way that Anthony asked you be a part of it, which I know how the reason basically Wiggle started was because of Anthony, because he was thinking about doing like a children's album. Well, Wiggle still happened over 30 years and still recording out children's albums for the group.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I know.
I mean, I've not really thought about it in all these years. So that, as I said earlier, when people started sending birthday wishes this year, Wiggles fans, I had no idea why I was receiving these messages, and 30 years has passed in the bat of an eyelid. It's passed by so quickly. It's quite extraordinary. I mean, you wouldn't have been born then, of course.
Right, but yeah.
I'm sorry.
So I know that where Greg, Murray, and Anthony, of course, that three of them were a part of a university called, I'm not sure if I can pronounce correctly, but if I'm wrong, then of course correct me. But I think it's called Macquarie University or something, that they are teaching as a preschool teachers, and that's probably they thinking probably how that Anthony asked three of them, or two of them, for be a part of it, and which okay. So let me get this straight: is that of course Anthony asked you to be a part of the project, and of course, because now since you and him were kind of musician type of a way that both of you met each other, and then Anthony probably asked Greg and Murray, since both of them were in the same university with Anthony for preschool teacher. Yes. And then four of them, of course, you and three of them are part of it. And I'm thinking Jeff wants to be part of it because the cockroaches, since Anthony and Jeff,
which I've seen before. It was great from 2006 and onwards. Continue on.
Was a part of it, so that's really awesome. So I know you met Anthony because of that reason, but what about for Greg, Jeff, and Murray? Or you just saw them because for the project, or it's because that whatever.
No, you're correct. It's Macquarie. But back then, around about 1989, when I first went there to work with a part-time job, it was known as the Institute of Early Childhood. It was a tertiary institute, but it wasn't a part of Macquarie University. And it wasn't until a year later, or maybe 2 years later, that it amalgamated with Macquarie University to be called that. It was the Institute of Early Childhood in the early days.
Let me check how long that came out.
I knew, of course, I already knew Anthony, and I knew Mari and Greg, because they were students there as well. But Anthony and Mari were third-year students when we did the Dabo album. They were in their third year, and Greg was in his first year. So as far as study goes, they were 2 years apart. Jeff wasn't a student then. He wasn't a student at the Institute of Early Childhood at all. So that's how I knew Mari and Greg, of course, because they were students as well.
So you know Jeff since he was a part of the project?
I didn't really know Jeff all that well at all. Jeff was brought in towards the end of the Dabo album being created and recorded to, I believe the term is sequence everything that I had done. as far as arrangements and whatever goes. So yeah, it was at the very end of the album being recorded and created that Anthony brought Jeff in. I really didn't. I met Jeff probably a couple of times, but I didn't really know him.
Huh.
Yeah.
Cool. So,
Yeah, it was sad that you never met Jeff at all either. But the thing, it was sad. Jeff was a also pianist at the time. When Jeff was like, well, he was now retired Wiggle, but he was been doing it for 21 years, but now retired with the Wiggle from 91 2012, excuse me. Then he's gonna do it. Left the Wiggles, but in 2013, he's been grabbing Hot Potato Studios, writing more songs for you guys to enjoy on the future Wiggles songs. But next year, on the other hand, the OG Wiggles is gonna be back from adulthood, 18 years old to around 15 years old, and we're gonna attend some concerts. Continue on.
so
And there
what's
was the film clip, of course. I'm in the film clip with him.
Yeah.
But I can't say that I really know Jeff as such. Not
Wow.
in the way that I knew Greg and Murray and Anthony.
So what happened is that so how all with them made with the 5 Wiggles, because Anthony probably wants to need like a 5th member, so probably that's why he asks Jeff to be a part of it, and probably that's how probably the 5th Wiggle thing became a thing. Well, I'm thinking like Anthony wants like you to be the 5th Wiggle, since or something because of reasons or something that why he wants you to be like a 5th Wiggle position or something. But yeah, that's really interesting because I know that Jeff wasn't really wasn't singing or anything on the album that I remembered. But correct me, Chris, just in case if he was a part of the album, okay, Jeff.
Yeah,
Look,
look,
Yeah.
I mean, the whole 5th Wiggle thing was, I believe, a term that was coined in the press. It wasn't something that was created by the Wiggles as such or by Anthony, although perhaps indirectly. But it was a title or a term that was applied to me more or less by the press. So yeah, that wasn't really a formal thing within the group. Jeff, I think Jeff's recognized contributions to the debut album as a whole came in at about 9.10%. And I think that percentage of work from him had to do with the music that was used for the debut album from previous Cockroach songs, like Dorothy the Dinosaur, which was the music from that comes from a Cockroach song called Another Saturday Night. And as well, that his percentage, the 9.10%, I think it was, every arrangement that I had done on the debut album was divided up collectively among the group. So everybody got, I think it was 0.2% of everything that I had done as well. So that's what Jeff's percentage was made up of.
Yep.
Jeff, I don't think Jeff contributed all that much to the creation of the debut album as far as writing and playing and recording goes in real time, much at all.
Yeah.
I would say that 75% of the debut album is my work and me playing on it. But like where, for example, I think from memory, if you look at the back of the debut album, where it has on any work traditional arranged by the Wiggles or even just arranged by the Wiggles, then those arrangements are mostly entirely mine, and they're mostly played by me on the keyboard with various sound effects. But it's just that at the time, Anthony had explained to me that it was customary among groups and bands to attribute everything to the band as a collective, and things to be divided up equally. But Jeff really didn't contribute that much to the creation of the debut album.
And by the way, that table album was, Macquarie University came out in 1964. And I did not know that. And by the way, it was 57 years ago as I taped this episode of LJP, so React. But otherwise, it was a great job for the Wiggles. Banos, Wilcher, and these other four. But then Phillip Wilcher left. I don't know what happened, but you'll find out why. Continue on.
Yeah, since he wasn't really singing the song for the album, or of course just accepted the music videos and the album cover in the future and all.
That's right.
So
as I said, Anthony brought him in towards the end of it all being recorded to sequence. I think that's the term, to sequence everything. Yeah.
So, I know you have something thought of for a while now, because of the Wiggles being like 30th anniversary or something. So, I know your thoughts about the debut album, like remaster or slash, or as the other word, re-released for the 30th anniversary. Like, what was your thinking from that?
What was my thoughts about that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what I did, I mean, I assume this is what you're referring to. When I started receiving all the messages of goodwill from fans, especially around my birthday this year and whatever, for it being the 30th anniversary, and with COVID the way it is, I put to Anthony, I think I wrote him 3 times, the idea of perhaps re-releasing the debut album, since, I mean, if it's the 30th anniversary of the Wiggles, then it is essentially the 30th anniversary of the debut album.
It is.
And I put the idea to him in 3 letters of perhaps re-releasing the debut album as a global fundraiser towards COVID.
Yeah, I agree.
All proceeds, all royalties.
Yeah, and make that the Wiggles plus Wilcher Wiggles, the debut album 1991 as a global release, not just in Australia, but also all of that. Continue on.
Proceeds from sales would go to each country respective of their sales. So, like, if the USA would get whatever amount of money was made off it for COVID relief, as would Australia, the UK, Brazil, Germany, every country. So that it was a global fundraiser. But he never replied to me, so I don't know. I mean, I think it's
I have to explain to Anthony about it. I have no words to say about it. I talked to Anthony all about and the Wiggles, all about why I was a huge fan of the Wiggles, and the response was, I'm glad you were a fan of the Wiggles. Thank you very much. It's been 2000 since I said that and I tuned it in the Playhouse Disney days. There's no response back to what happened, and there's no wherever the heck they were, and I just don't know what to say. Continue.
Viable idea, and I think it is something that could at least, if it wasn't successful in raising funds towards COVID, it would at least be a gesture of goodwill, and I think there's hope to be found in goodwill, and I would like to see it happen. But
I agree.
Never actually seem to respond to that idea.
Yeah, with COVID being, a really serious thing in Australia again, I think a fundraiser would definitely help quite a bit.
Yeah.
I think so. I think it was back in March or around April that I wrote it.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah. But I still think it's a viable idea, and I don't want anything from it at all. I would just I thought it would be a good gesture. But anyway, that's how it is now. So yeah.
But I'm really glad about that.
It's a good idea for you to release it. It's kind of rude for Anthony not to respond.
What was that? I couldn't quite hear you.
It's a good idea for you to re-release it and Anthony not to respond back to you. Crazy busy.
Oh yeah, I know as well that I think some Wiggles fans had actually copied my letter from Facebook, because I posted it on Facebook, and sent it to him as well. But I don't know. I mean, he may yet still reply to it. He may yet still take up the idea and do it. I think it's a worthwhile idea.
Yeah, I agree.
I really do. But anyway, but hopefully, as I said, I think we will all get through COVID anyway. We'll certainly learn to live with it if it's something that's going to be there all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of adjustment, and I don't think that we should be too thwarted by it. We will come through this.
Mm-hmm. So it's really interesting that all of the actually like the debut album like shirts, really like scary shirts, fashion shirts. But I think most likely it's on like the Wiggles like ushering like a museum or something that it was on the museum, which we know that now that Anthony can actually still wear it, but I know that most likely Greg, Murray, and Jeff can't still wear it anymore because of how what happened over the years that they can't fit like those back then shirts, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's real. So, but it's really amazing that he can still wear a shirt. That's really amazing, and
I think I saw a photograph of it. Was it at Instagram?
Yeah, it's from the Wiggles.
It was like Anthony wearing his shirt from the album.
Mm-hmm. Anthony actually chose the shirt that I wore, the red one with the large white spots.
Wow.
And because I think it was in a lunch break one day or something, he and I went down to the plaza at Bondi Junction, just near where the campus was,
Mm-hmm.
of early childhood, and we went into a shirt shop there, and there was the shirt that I wore, the red one with the big white spots, and there was another one there which was black with the big white spots, and he chose that one. So he actually picked the shirt that I wore, that you see on the debut album cover. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's really amazing, and
wow.
And I know what you've been like doing. You know, it's really blissful, and same as for the OG fans. You know, for what they received to you, which I know it's really a blessing for us. Well, same as for working with the debut album, and Here Comes the Song album a little bit, which I know that. But overall, it's really amazing that what you've been like done after your early days. But actually, I'm going to say this about this. Because there's one song that you probably mostly OG fans know about of your creation of your song called Mischief the Monkey. How was producing that song?
I think like Mischief is like my son. I don't know if you can have a monkey as a son.
Yeah.
I have a real soft spot for Mischief. And actually, do you know Will Wagner in Thailand?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I've more or less given Mischief to them to bring him up now. And it was earlier this year. Will asked me if I would consider, as part of the 30th anniversary year of the Wiggles, of writing a sequel type song for Mischief the Monkey, just the words. So I wrote some lyrics for another Mischief song, and Will and Tyler set about putting music to it. And I think that they've actually put a film clip up now on Will's channel.
That I cannot pronounce one time. Most of the time it's Mischief or Mischief. However, continue on.
They did a fantastic job. They really did, because sorry.
Oh no, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I actually when I wrote the lyrics to the second Mischief song for Will and Tyler, I wondered if they would actually be able to set it to music as well as they did, because it was a little bit tricky with some of the words. And I thought, this might be a test for them. And I have to say that they passed with flying colours. They did a wonderful job of it, and I'm very grateful to them for what they've done. But Mischief is Mischief. I have a soft spot for him. I have a friend in Spokane who runs a late night radio show of punk music and whatever. And he once played Mischief the Monkey on his radio show amid all the punk music that he plays. So Mischief the Monkey is quite a legend in my life, I think.
Yeah, and you're right. Will and Tyler definitely did very good on that, and they're pretty good friends of ours too.
Yeah, I've known Will. I've known Will for many years now. Tyler more recently this year, much like yourselves. But I've known Will for quite some time. But Mischief, I wrote Mischief in about I don't know. I wrote it very quickly because
like 10 minutes.
Something like that, even less than that. because we were in the music room at the Institute of Early Childhood. I think from memory there was Anthony, Greg, and Murray, and we'd done most of the tracks for the Dabo album. And Anthony used to call me Arch. He nicknamed me Arch because of my association with Liberace and Liberace's family.
Yeah.
And he just said to me, Arch, we need something else for the Dabo album. So I just got a large piece of paper and sort of laid down on the floor of the music program and wrote Mischief.
Which I did talk about LJPCBM ads on one time before. And it's, and he said, Archie for part of it, with this whole Archie's comics thing. Continue on.
Yeah, it happened very quickly. And it's not that it was clever of me to write it in such a short period of time, not at all. Because it's based on developmentally appropriate ideas for early childhood music. There's no wow factor there involved in the fact in that I did write it as quickly as I did. Because it was geared towards early childhood, music, and it's more or less a formula type thing. So, but yeah, I have a real soft spot for Mischief.
So you mentioned the nickname Arch. So there's a track on the debut album called Archie's Theme. Is that how? Is that how that came about? Was from that nickname?
Yeah, Archie's Theme on the debut album, I actually is part of a piece that I wrote when I was 14 years of age.
Wow.
And the original piece was called Summer Dance, which you'll find on my YouTube channel.
Let me check here. I'm gonna mute this volume so I can watch me listen to everything. I would do anything, but I won't do that because of copyright reasons. But anyway, let's do it now. The Wiggles debut album. Oh, let me check. Let me put one more time.
This was called Summer Dance.
Summer Dance. Let me check one more time. That I never heard of. It's not in the debut album of the Wiggles anywhere. So, Phillip. Wait, it was on Phillip Wilcher's account? Oh, okay. It's Summer Dance. Oh. What year was this? I had to do this. Two pieces, age of 14. Played by pianist, Eblis, never heard that name. Archie's being the Wiggles. Okay then, continue on.
You'll find it on my YouTube channel. And as I said, I wrote that at 14 years of age with another piece called Winter Reverie. They were like companion pieces. And Summer Dance then later became Umbrella Dance when I used to play piano for a ballet school.
Wow, okay. Wow, Umbrella Dance. Continue on.
And this ballet school that I used to play for did a ballet around it and with umbrellas, so then it became Umbrella Dance. And then, of course, Archie's Theme. And the idea on the debut album, the reason why it appears twice is because you've got Archie's Theme and you've got The Halls of Montezuma, followed by Archie's Theme again. Well, that bracket of three pieces were for children in an early childhood setting to move to. So they would go from a skipping motion, say, for example, with Archie's Theme, they would skip straight away into a march with Montezuma and then back to a skip. So the educational value of those three songs as one bracket had to do with children moving to music, which is why Archie's Theme appears twice. But yeah, Anthony had nicknamed me Archie because I had been to America to perform for the Liberace Foundation, a celebration for his birthday, and stayed in his home. So he nicknamed me Arch after Liberace, and it seemed to stick. Yeah.
Wow.
My neighbor just down from here, has just bought a dog, and she's called it Archie. Not that it's connected to that, but yeah. Yes, that's how Archie came about. It all to do with my time in America with the Liberace Foundation.
That's very awesome. I know that the SKBs from 91 was on a foundation at the moment, so it's really amazing.
Yeah, I have to say that if I could relive one time in my life over and over again without altering it forever, it would be my time with Liberace's family and friends, because I mean, he was a huge star. He was a huge name in music, legendary figure, a living legend, I suppose you could say. But when I went over there, I found his family and friends to be the most humble people you could imagine, and they treated me as if I was a special person.
Yeah.
And they showed me a level of unconditional love that I'd never experienced from anybody before, and that came from his family, his sister, his housekeeper Gladys. His housekeeper Gladys, she lived to be 100 years of age, and she actually died on my birthday. She was like,
whoa. Wow. Continue on.
Mother to me. So my time, especially in Palm Springs, when I went to stay in his home, it's the most cherished time of my life.
Wow.
And I think that as a child, when I used to watch Liberace on television performing, showmanship aside, and like say the showmanship type of thing with Michael Jackson, showmanship aside, what I was noticing about this man was that he was so full of love.
Mm-hmm.
And have you got time for me to tell you a long story about Liberace?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we got time.
Okay. Well, I guess as a child, he was what you would call my hero, and it was really, I guess he really inspired me to take up piano and to want to play the piano, really. And my mother took me to see him when he toured here in 1971.
Wow.
And he had not been here since the 50s. And his arrival to Australia in 1971 was huge. For about a month before his arrival, every day in the press, there was something about Liberace. And when he touched down at Sydney Airport to start his tour, he received a reception like a world dignitary would receive. And my mother, she took me to hear him play at the Capitol Theatre in 1971, and I was 13 years of age.
Wow.
And he was classically trained as a pianist, but he then went more into the entertainment type of playing. And that night, actually, at the concert, was a classically trained pianist, a purist, named Romila Costantino.
Wow.
And she was reviewing his concert, and the review she wrote of him was headed "A Genius and a Jester," which sums him up pretty much. There was a genius at work in him, and he was as much the jester. And during that concert, there I sat at 13 years of age with this overwhelming feeling that one day my life would get closer to his.
Mm-hmm.
In some way, I would find myself, And it wasn't until I joined his fan club as a boy.
Wow.
It cost $1 to join. And every 3 months you got a newsletter. Every Christmas you got the most elaborate Christmas card that he would send you.
Wow.
And it only cost $1.
Okay.
And I remained a member of his fan club right throughout until 1987 when he passed away.
Wow.
And during that time, I had actually taken up classical studies in piano, serious studies, and I didn't lose interest in him. I just didn't pay that much attention to him as a performer and a musician as I was when I was studying classical music more seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until 1984 that he was touring Australia again, and I was working at the ABC at the time.
Okay.
And a girl that I was working with at the ABC, she came to me, she said that she would like to go and see Liberace. And then in 1984, he was playing the Sydney Hilton Hotel. And of course, he was much older. I had not seen him, you know, I was 13 in 1971, so in 1984, I was however old I was, you know, I was a young man. And I thought, no, I'm not really interested in going to hear him, because it's not that my tastes in music had changed, but I was really steeped into, you know, the black black tales and that type of thing with classical pianists. Anyway, she convinced me to go, and we got dressed up. I wore a white tuxedo, and she wore an evening gown, and we went to the Hilton. And I have to say, from the moment he walked out on stage, he gave me my childhood back.
Okay.
And to see this man then at 64 years of age, still doing what he was doing when I was a child.
Wow.
It made me realize that some things in life never change, and some things stay the same for the better. And he was one of those people. And at the end of his... And Elton John's lyricist, Bernie Taupin.
Yeah, Elton John, yeah. If you watch this remix, it's for you. Continue on.
That night as well. He'd actually snuck in to hear Liberace play because he knew the legend that Liberace was. And at the end of the concert, I was the first person to stand up and give him a standing ovation. And he noticed me, and I thought that is the best feeling for me. That after all these years, I was able to give him a standing ovation, and that he saw it. And that was 1984. When he passed away in 1987. And after his death, one of his neighbors in Las Vegas wanted to start up a petition to try and save his Las Vegas home so that it might become a museum. And I was still a member of the International Fan Club, and she got my address and she wrote me. And she asked if I would sign this petition, which I did. And we maintained a correspondence. Her name was Peggy. And we maintained a correspondence. And in 1988, she wrote me to say that in 1989, they were going to have a celebration in honor of Liberace under the auspices of the Liberace Foundation for the Creative and Performing Arts, which was part of the Liberace Museum. And she asked if I would like to come over because they were going to have a dinner in Liberace's Las Vegas home. And I thought, that's a crazy idea, I'm going to do it. And I went over. And as I said earlier, they were the most humble people. Showmanship aside, they were down to earth, they were very real. And there was a luncheon held in memory of Liberace at the Desert Inn in Las Vegas. And a pianist who was one of Liberace's proteges was going to play the piano at this, give a performance at this luncheon. And for some reason, he couldn't show up. And Liberace's sister, Angie, she came to the table that I was sitting at, and she said, "Philip, I hear you play the piano. Can you play something like my brother, like Liberace?" And I actually used to play some of his arrangements here in Australia in various jobs that I would do. And I could, so I got up and I played his arrangement of Tenderly. And as a result of that, I was invited back in 1990, 1992, and 1994 to play again. And I was invited back by the Liberace Museum to play there. And I believe I was the first Australian, the first outsider, non-American ever to be invited to play there. And from there, I was invited by his family and friends to stay in his Palm Springs home. So after I would go to Vegas and perform there at the museum, I would go and stay in his Palm Springs home as the end part of my trip every time. And of course, in 1992, I was there as well.
Wow.
In 94. So that's how that all came about. And as I said, these people treated me as if I was the special one amongst them, and I never received so much unconditional love from anybody. And most of those people have passed away now. There are some that still alive that I have connections with, and I would dearly love to go back. I don't know if I'd like to go back to Palm Springs because I've seen photographs of his home there in Palm Springs now, and it's been sold and it's been changed and modernized. So what I knew of my time there in Palm Springs would now be something different.
Yeah.
But those memories that I have, they're the most cherished of my life in music.
Yeah.
And, even though it's not staunchly classical, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter, no.
They're just forever with me, and they're a sustaining thing in my life. If ever I'm facing a hardship, I just think of the love that I receive from those people, and I come on through. I get through anything.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
But that's how the nickname of Archie came about. That's how Anthony actually nicknamed me Archie. And it really stuck. I think Anthony had nicknames for everybody. Even within his family, his father had a nickname, and his brother John was known as Megsy and things like that.
That's just him.
So, Matthew and Wyatt, do you guys have any questions?
No. So, I do. What was it like filming the 1991 music video for the ABC? Who was in the costume of Dorothy the Dinosaur?
That was that was an awkward experience for me. I believe it was Paul Field.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah, I heard about this on Wikipedia, something like that, on the fandom page, saying that Wikipedia, and I read it says Paul Field doing Dorothy the Dinosaur. Yeah, I heard about it years ago, like 6 years ago. Continue on.
And be corrected on that, but I believe it was Paul Field. And I think
yes.
if you look at the Dorothy dancing in that film clip, and look at the cockroaches, you might recognize some of the moves. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. But that was a very awkward experience for me because I had nothing to do with the Wiggles for some months.
I understand.
Sorry?
I basically say I understand why.
Yeah.
We were in the Wiggles for only a year, and then you just slap, and I don't understand what you're going through while you're with the Wiggles, so I completely understand from there.
It's just that, like, when Anthony had come to the Institute of Early Childhood, I think it was in March. I think that was filmed in March. And Anthony was teaching early childhood at a Jewish school here in Sweden called Temple Emmanuel. And I hadn't seen him for months. And he came to the office of the music room at the Institute of Early Childhood, and he asked me if I would come out to Temple Emmanuel one afternoon and play piano to the children there. And I was hesitant at first, but I did. And he introduced me as the sleep inspector to the children. And he asked me would I play a lullaby for them, more to fall asleep. And I played a piece of classical music which was called The Swan, by a French composer named Camille Sasson. And it was at that event, I suppose you'd call it, where Anthony asked me if I would come back and be in the Dorothy the Dinosaur film clip. That was a Thursday, and the film clip was being filmed on the following Sunday. And at first I said no, I did not want to do it. And my parents and friends, when I came home and told them, they said, no, you should do it. So I phoned Anthony, I said, okay, I would do it. And Anthony asked me to meet him at his flat. He was living in a small flat then in the Sydney suburb of Stanmore. And he asked me to meet him there, which I did. I arrived in my Wiggles shirt. And I met him there. And he used to drive a Tirana, which we'd nicknamed Hexo because the number plate was HXO, so I would call it Hexo. So he drove me to do the film clip for Dorothy the Dinosaur, which was done at Darling Harbour. But my understanding, and it was never articulated to me, my understanding was that the film clip would be much like Get Ready to Wiggle, that it would be a closed set, and it would just be the band doing that one song. And we arrived at Darling Harbour, and there were hundreds of children there, and it was a full concert that I had to take part in. I had no idea what I had to do. I had no idea of what songs were being sung. And Anthony never mentioned it on the way there. And I think Greg mentions this in his book, Now and Then, which came out in 2011, about
Yeah, which I have to read during book reviews again. Continue on.
And how surprised they were that I showed up for the film club, because they didn't even know, and neither did management. They didn't know that Anthony had invited me back. And Greg writes about that. But all I did, the best I could do, and I think I did look pretty awkward in the film clip, the best I could do was follow Greg and Murray and copy them. And I think, all considering, I didn't do too bad a job. But that was actually the last time I was ever involved with the Wiggles. And that's how it came about that I was in that film with Dorothy the Dinosaur, which, I should say, where it has been said that I'd written a letter of resignation, I was advised to write that letter of resignation by the manager, Jeremy Fellini, when it was verbally agreed that I'd stay behind the scenes and write for the second album. And the reason I had to write the letter of resignation was so I would not incur expenses for any future albums. And curiously, I did incur expenses for the recording of Here Comes a Song, even though I didn't do anything. I had nothing to do with the recording of it. Those expenses were paid back to me. But that apparent letter of resignation, I think that's negated by the fact that I did return to do the Dorothy the Dinosaur film clip, But yeah, it was an awkward experience for me, but I seem to have gotten through it all right, I think. Yeah, I haven't looked at the clip for years, and I'm not going to, but yeah, but it's Paul Field. Paul Field is, I can see you've got Dorothy lying on her back there behind you.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a Dorothy plush.
Yeah.
Yeah, which, by the way, I haven't got a chance to saw the video of it, and according to my reaction video tapings, there's some audio about it. Continue on.
So do the voice.
It's a Dorothy voice. So yeah, it's a Dorothy plush. It's like the new Janet version of the Dorothy plush that's made in 2015, I think.
It's the new what? What did you say?
It's
like
Dorothy plush I had.
It's like a new version of it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
I know there's plushes for Dorothy like way back on those days.
Yeah, I think actually my memory, and I will stand corrected on this, my memory, the costume that Paul Field is wearing in the film clip was made by Murray Cook's wife, Meg. She made
Oh wow.
Oh.
Awesome.
Yeah. I'm saying that, but I will stand corrected. That's my memory of it. Yeah.
So.
And you heard some noise in the background. Please ignore that. It's probably from the... I don't know. Continue on.
Moving on from the Wiggles and continuing your work as a pianist and composer, piano arrangements. Do you have a favorite piece or arrangement that you've done?
Of my own?
Yeah.
Yeah, of your composing and your musician and everything that you've done.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think about my own music all that much, and I rarely listen to it. And I don't play my own music. Which has to do, I think, with my spirituality. What I do, I found, like, when I opened my YouTube channel back in 2009, I think it was.
Wait, what is that again?
What I do, I found, like, when I opened my YouTube channel back in 2009, I think it
Okay, I hear one thing back in 2009. Yeah, I was only 14 when this happened. Continue on.
I opened that essentially because I wanted to mentor other musicians, other young musicians. I wanted to not inspire, but I just wanted to help younger musicians and composers in the same way that I had been helped.
Yeah.
I wanted to give of my time and talent, and quite freely, to people who wanted to find themselves through some creative endeavor, as you are finding yourself through doing what you do at YouTube.
Right.
And that was why I opened up my YouTube channel.
Yeah, hold on one moment. That was actually a good idea, Phil. People call you Archie, and I call you Phil. Yeah, and this is his YouTube channel. Came out really December 2000. That was months after I started my YouTube channel. Continue on.
but I have to say, I think the very first upload I did was 2 studies for the piano, and it was uploaded in 2009. And even to this day, whenever I upload a new piece, it's like I'm sitting for an exam, because people can comment on it, and I'm thinking, I get kind of scared. So I'll upload a new piece, and then I'll run and hide for a few days before I check the comments. Unfortunately, I haven't had any bad comments today. But I don't listen to my own music. I don't keep tabs on myself. I do have several pieces of music that that I've written that hold special meaning for me, like the piece of music I wrote following the weeks of my mother's death, which is called Into Her Countenance. Because when my mother passed away,
Very sorry to hear.
Sorry if you lost Phil. My condolences. Years back. Continue on.
Thank you. She passed away in 2005, and when she passed away...
Oh my God! I was only 10. I was only 10 when this happened. Continue on.
She did not have an easy life, and she certainly did not have an easy death. It was pretty horrific. But when she passed away, she was such a humble person. I promised that I would honor her life and give her modest life as much of a profile as I could through my own work and through my music. And really, everything I do, even if I dedicate a piece of music to someone else, everything I do is in honor of her. And I wrote a piece of music called Into His Countenance, which was for flute and string orchestra. That holds a special meaning for me, as does another piece. I wrote 2 pieces when she was having dialysis exchanges, and I was learning how to do those dialysis exchanges. I wrote 2 pieces of music in between being taught how to do dialysis, and one is called The Maiden Voyage, and the other one is called Simplicity Itself, and they are both for cello and piano, and they mean a lot to me as well. Any piece of music that I write for someone else that honors their life and gives a touch of immortality to their life means something to me. But that is not to say that I follow my own career. I have no real understanding of what my status is, even among my peers. I have no real understanding of how well known I am. I know that I've had performers overseas play my work, as well here, and I know that there is something like 11 CDs of my music out now, and they are all played by different musicians. None of them, nothing's played by me, because I won't play my own music. I reason that if I can get someone else to play something of mine and they give their name to it, then that gives it greater credibility. So I don't know, but I don't follow my own career. And for the past 11 years, I've been full-time carer for my father. He's now 98 years of age, and he's back.
Wow, 98. Your father? Jeez. Repeat that one more time.
I've been full-time carer for my father. He's now 98 years of age, and he's battling dementia. So
AC/DC's Malcolm Young have been battling dementia from 2014 until his death in 2017. And at the time when Malcolm Young was doing AC/DC, it was not safe free till his dementia began in 2014. He was it was like with guitarist and backing vocals, but yeah, continue on.
More or less put my musical career on hold. I rarely write much music now at all, because I'm looking after my father. But I've turned to writing books now. I find it a much more...
I'm probably doing that.
Yeah, what I did when I...
Yeah, my mom is, however, writing books about my mom's personal life. My personal life, excuse me. And she was just got plans to release this by the time she retires in 2023, which is my personal life book. I'm looking forward to this, but I'm looking forward to the book she writes about my personal life to get released in time. Continue on.
Like when I felt like music was leaving me, I personified it I personified music and I held conversation with it. And I wanted to learn from music itself what it had taught me, independently of what every teacher and mentor had taught me. And I came to find that music throughout my life has been my greatest teacher. And I think that's something that should be instilled in children. And I think that's the whole ethos of, if that's the word, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
That's the whole reason behind early childhood music. And finding
That's fine.
Appropriate for children. Because music can be a teacher, like anything in life. And I'm indebted to music as an art form because it has helped to define me, and it has taught me how to live my life as best I can. So I personified music, and I started having conversations with it, which probably sounds a bit weird. And I wrote those conversations out. And from there, I started to write books of inspirational thought. At the moment, I'm working on a book called Heart Matters, Volume 3.
Wow.
And it's subtitled A Sense of Arrival. And I write dialogues. I wrote a book called Divinity, which was a conversation between myself and music at the source, to take in as many aspects of life as possible, including my belief in God and Jesus.
Yeah.
So, and I'm very...
Which is part of the upcoming series I'll be doing on the book reviews called The Story of Jesus, which is upcoming book review episode coming up. Continue on.
I treat writing words in the same way I do writing music. In the words have their own texture, they have their own color, they have their own rhythm. So where any thought I might have is random, my choice of words and expressing that thought is not. I will write a sentence or a paragraph. I will work on it the same way I will shape a piece of music. I'll be conscious of the rhythm of the words and their inflection and the texture.
Yeah.
And I'm very rewarded by doing that. And I think the whole quest behind my life as a creative person from 8 years of age through to now and however long I live will be to know myself a little bit more.
Still.
And it's a humbling experience, because if your life as a creative person, if you're involved in art, if it hasn't taught you about humility, then what has it taught you? Because the whole idea behind creating something, it is to acknowledge love in your life, because love is what created us. So you give that back.
Yeah.
And that's my whole belief in life. People might think I'm a little bit pie in the sky, but that's been my goal from day one. And with my book writing, I have hoped that whatever legacy I leave, and it's not for me to say whether my legacy will be or not, that my words, my books complement my music, and they are born of each other. But I think that, and I think that's how people should live their lives. I think we should all live our lives as history in the making. And by that, you don't have to live a grand life. You just have to live an honest life. You're living your life now as history in the making with this YouTube channel and your interviews with other people.
Yeah.
Can I share another story with you?
Of course.
Oh, sure.
Exactly.
Of course.
Okay, this touches my heart and I'm probably going to cry.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll have to pause it right there. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back, folks. I was telling my stepdad, I heard a noise, and it's coming from, the garage. I thought it was a noise from outside for some reason, but it was that, and I thought it would be something new from the backyard, but, I just thought it would be good enough to figure out what's going to go on next episode club, and some other things. Without further ado, enough talk, let's continue on with this whole episode, and let's continue on what he said during the quietness. And I have made me wanted to drink some water, so let's just continue.
I'm gonna cry. When I was a child, I used to watch a television show. I was 12, 13 years of age.
Okay, what television show is that called?
And the show was called Good Morning.
Okay. Good morning. Okay, that was is that a news show or news news report show? I don't know. Continue on.
It was called Good Morning, and it was hosted by a very, very beautiful lady named Rosemary E.
Oh, hang on. Let me repeat that one more time. Good morning. Television. This is it's a children's show. Hosted by Rosemary, and it got canceled in 1971. Continue on.
Beather. And she was the love of my early childhood life. I used to walk around the house singing this song, the Edison Lighthouse song called Love Grows Where My Rosemary Goes, you know. And I would write her lots of fan letters. And at the height of her fame here in Australia, she was receiving something like 50,000 fan letters a week from children. And I was one of those children. Wow.
Yeah. You were very excited to be part of this whole thing. Continue on.
On her show, she would have a segment called Fun with Drawing. It was an educational show because she would have a segment called Fun with Drawing. It was an educational
Fun with Jerome. Oh, hang on. Let me just read that. Continue on.
Show because she had been a science teacher previously, and it was also an entertainment thing. And on her show, she had a segment called Fun with Drawing, and I would enter drawings.
Oh yeah, blah blah blah. Yeah, continue on.
And she would show them on television and award prizes. And one of the prizes actually that she gave me was a concise Oxford dictionary, and that was back in 1970. I still use that dictionary.
Ooh. Okay.
There to this day.
Wow.
Because she gave it to me. And we wrote letters, and she replied to every fan letter that I wrote her. Oh my! Wow. And every one. She sent me signed photos, and through my childhood, right up to my early adult years, up to 1990 actually, we maintained a correspondence. When she married, she even sent me postcards from those places that she visited with her husband on their honeymoon. She sent me photographs of her children when they were born, and we maintained this contact for right through to 1990. Some of the letters that she wrote me, the longest letter she wrote me was 23 pages long. The reason it was so lengthy was because she lived such a busy life, she couldn't sit down and write a letter. Yeah, she didn't have enough time to write one letter, so she would do a progressive letter, so there were pages and pages. Anyway, the point of this goes back to me saying that I think we should all live our life as history in the making.
Oh, it's Warwick, not Jerome. Okay, continue on.
Keep that thought in mind. It was only within the last few years that I was able to find her again. I decided to search Facebook for one of her sons, and I touched base with him. I wasn't sure if she was still alive or not, and he wrote me back that she was. And she's now something like 80 years of age.
Oh my gosh.
And I can get another last piece of drinks.
I think because of her fame, he was very guarded, and he didn't really want to give me any details about her life as it is now, or how I could contact her, without me telling him something of myself. So he asked me in a private message, could I tell him a bit of my own history? So rather than do that, I told him about his own.
And it's hard to interrupt Philip, but as I read earlier this year, Jeremy is currently retired from radio and television presenting, and I'm like, okay. I was just like freaked out about this. And he was 36, but he retired now. But from his career. Excuse me. Continue on.
What I knew from letters he wrote my mother, like I would say, do you remember the photograph that was taken of you in the spacesuit standing before the Christmas tree when you were like 3 years old or something? So rather than tell him about me and my life, I told him everything I knew about his childhood to prove that I was a legitimate person. And one day the phone rang, and it was him, and he told me, okay, here's where I'm going to cry.
Here you go.
Here goes nothing.
Told me that he had his mother on the phone to talk to me. He had Rosemary on the phone to talk to me. So, for the few seconds that he was passing the phone to her to talk to me, I had not heard her voice in 45 years.
Wow.
The feeling of hearing her voice after all that time was so overwhelming. So I send her now, every month I send her a bouquet of yellow flowers, yellow roses, so that she knows she's not forgotten by me. But here's my point. Her son recently donated to the National Film and Sound Archive in Canberra.
Wait, what is that again?
Her son recently donated to the National Film and Sound Archive in Canberra, the Australian Capital Territory. All of her papers, he dedicated all of her papers, all press clippings about her life, everything to do with her career, so that they would be archived by the National Film and Sound Archive.
Okay.
Amongst those papers that he donated were all the letters that I had written her as a child. She'd kept them. She'd kept all my letters. So the archivist at the National Film and Sound Archive in turn contacted me to see if by chance I had any of her letters to me, and would I consider donating one or two of them as part of the display there. Well, I had every letter. I had a huge wad of letters, like a mountain of them. And I have recently donated all of her letters to the archive, and they're there for safekeeping. And they're there on display. They're going to be on display with all of her letters to me. And my point is about, you know how I said live your life as history in the making?
Yeah.
Right.
Who would have thought that letters that I was writing, a huge celebrity, at 12 and 13 years of age, today would be archived in the National Film and Sound Archive in our Australian Capital Territory. So I was creating, at that young age, as much as I did not know it, I was creating a little bit of history. And it's I mean, the beauty of it now for me is that I've been able to contribute something to her legacy. And she's still a part of my life. And I love her very much. So yeah, live your life as history in the making. And like I said before, it doesn't have to be a grand life. You just have to live an honest life, no matter what your career path is, whether you work in a bank or whether you're a sales assistant or a street sweeper or whatever, or whether you're a big name in music. Just live your life honestly.
I mean, I read this on Wikipedia or whatever, that they both passed away. I'm freaking shocked about this. But, you know, I was heard about it and like, oh God, I never thought about this. Continue on.
And that's all you have to do to live a meaningful life. You know, that is my belief.
Great words what you said, because that's really what more people has to know about it.
That's what before I came to talk to you, like at the beginning of this, that's what you're doing with your YouTube channel, whether you realize it or not. Years down the track, you've created history here with what you're doing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, people can go back and watch it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And you're adding to the profile of the people you're into.
Sure.
Forget about me.
Sorry about that. I was just showing that fly, not Phillip Wilcher, because I was looking at the fly who's bothering me. Continue on.
The people that you've interviewed before me, you're adding to the profile of their life. Those people that interviews I've watched, I didn't know those people before you interviewed them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm a bit of a bubble boy, I admit. Wow. But I know of them now through you. And that's an extraordinary thing.
Well, great touch for saying that, so thank you so much. But I know you really did have a blissful feeling of what would that happen, that you cried and all, and as well as what happened that we talked about earlier. Well, you mostly about.
It didn't make me sad or anything. It made me feel like a straight face. Continue on.
Performances that some of your heroes of your life, like
Which one? This one?
Like died and all, and And
I don't think I would say that. Well, I suppose Liberace, yeah, as a child, he was a hero. But I mean, I don't adulate people. I respect
don't either.
them for their talent and how they use it and how they express it. And as I like, most of my training, of course, was classical, and there are people in the history of music whose lives as performers as well as composers and creative entities resonate for me more than most. I think in the world of pop and rock, or whatever you call it,
yeah, with just heavy metal, classic rock, and some boy hip hop, and of course some rap and stupid rap, and I'm just like, okay, this is good. These two genres out of the four were good, but but children's music, which is of course, which I mentioned earlier in the reaction video episode, and of course I mentioned earlier before, it was good. Continue on.
There are people who Michael Jackson was huge. I saw him live here in Australia back in the late 80s, I think.
Wow.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
Is it the Bad Tour?
What?
Is that the
I
Bad
can't
Tour?
remember.
That's crazy.
I can't remember that. He was playing at Parramatta Stadium, Parramatta Park.
Yeah.
Wow.
Maybe it was 1989.
Yeah, it's actually cool to hear because me and Jake are pretty big Michael Jackson fans. So.
Well,
a bit to pace for me, because I'm not really a type of Michael Jackson fan anymore. At a time like this, some people diss on Michael Jackson after the documentary Finding Neverland at the time because of the race, you know? And and I agree with Remix on this point. Don't diss on him because he's dead now. And I agree with this on some streams saying he is dead, you know? And I thought about this, and he's dead for crying out loud, he said. And I'm like, don't diss on him. And people like no longer support Michael Jackson, blah blah. And of course, yeah, in the 90s like this, late 90s, late 10s, early 2020s, I'm just like, oh my god. How's this gonna end like this? Because of that whole conversation between Michael Jackson. And then the banning of The Simpsons season 3, episode 1 is a long story. And I think that one should have happened again. You know? That's just me. Continue on.
Let me tell you, it was an experience because I suppose I was fascinated by him mostly because in interviews he always appeared to be very fragile and
wow.
But on stage he was a force to be reckoned with. It was overwhelming.
Okay.
And my memory is that his entry on stage, it was an open arena. His entry on stage, he shot up through the stage and just stood there with his hands on his hip and his head turned to the left or to the left.
Oh!
No, his head turned to the right.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. I think you're talking about the Dangerous Tour. I think that's what the start of the tour.
Yeah, which by the way, I did Born Jokes episode on Santa Claus Coming to Town, which by the way, if it did Miss Tanta Crinkle said, but this Chris saying, but you do not use your Crinkle name, it's dangerous. And Michael Jackson would be like, dangerous! And then I'm just making myself as that's a joke. And that's just me. Continue on.
Every single concert, and he did that.
Yes.
And then he takes his glasses off, and then starts jamming, and then boom.
Yes,
boom!
Here's the thing. He struck that pose for probably the best part of 5 minutes. He just stood there and didn't do anything, and the whole audience, everybody, hundreds of thousands of people, it was pandemonium. People were screaming.
No.
Oh, and by the way, one time Slash, the guitar player of Guns N' Roses, did play with Michael Jackson, as I mentioned, as I watched the story of Guns N' Roses before. And if you watch this, Jake, Chris, Michael, and Wyatt, continue on.
And he didn't even have to do anything. He just had to stand there. But then, yes, one of my regrets is too, this is in more recent times, Prince was playing the Sydney Opera House. I think it was the year before he passed away. And I would have loved
Wait, hold up. What?
In more recent times, Prince was playing the Sydney Opera House. I think it was the year before he passed away. And I would
Prince, yeah. And if you watch this, Mitch, I have no word to say about Prince's passing. So, Prince, I'm not a huge fan of Prince. Back then, I'm not a huge fan of it now. I'm sorry, but I'm not a huge fan of hip-hop anymore. But I'm more of a heavy metal rock and classic rock and everything, blah, blah. That's just me. Continue on.
Love to have gone to hear Prince live, because I've always had this feeling that
Oh, and Michael Jackson too. Yeah, 2009. Continue on.
Prince kind of musically gate-crashed the party that Michael Jackson started, and I think I perhaps favor Prince over Michael Jackson.
Oh, and long story short, some trolls on my YouTube channel, Legit 6 Stories Back, told me that that Billy Mays passing is much better than Michael Jackson's. Like, dude, can you give the difference between Billy Mays and Michael Jackson? They're both different from the same month and year. Duh. Continue on.
As a songwriter, but and I, of course, because I was a full-time carer.
And I think Michael Jackson sucks as well. In 2009, like, Stan, like, dude, shut up! Continue on.
I couldn't go to the concert, and I regret that. But the review that Prince received in the press after his Opera House performance was a review that any musician, no matter what your genre, would die for. It was the most wonderful review, and it actually broke my heart when he passed away. But of those musicians who, if I, like, I'm talking about rock and pop musicians, not classical, those musicians, rock and pop musicians that I would probably like to meet, not so much to adulate, but just to say, thank you, I respect you for what you did, would be Jeff Buckley. Jeff Buckley is my yardstick for most contemporary musicians. He's my go-to when I want to hear the very best, hear genius at work. I hear it in Jeff Buckley. Kurt Cobain, who I never really knew much about until quite recently, and I watched an interview with him, and the humility in his heart resonated volumes for me. So it was Kurt Cobain.
Wow.
And so I regret that I didn't know of their work before they passed away, but I certainly know of it now. And more recently, Harry Styles. And I have never followed One Direction.
Wow.
Harry Styles, let me check. He was an English singer, songwriter, and actor. Okay, One Direction and Continue on.
I'm not be able to tell you a title of a One Direction song, but it was only by chance that in 2020, I think, I caught his performance of Falling at the Brit Awards. And I was overwhelmed by it. And the reason I was overwhelmed by it was that he wore his heart on his sleeve in that performance. And it was something quite remarkable for me to watch and to listen to. And I understand that during the week, just for the days leading up to that performance, he'd lost a very dear friend, had passed away. And he'd also been, I think, robbed at knife point in London. And he still fronted up and gave this performance of Falling for the Brit Awards. And it's on YouTube. And I just found that to be really remarkable. And I then searched out more works of him. And I listened to one or two interviews, one lengthy interview where he talked about the creative process that he goes through in writing a song and whatever. And he's the real deal. talking about music and composition and how he writes a song, he knows what he's doing. And I think that younger people the world over can be grateful for the fact that he's a bit of a mentor figure for them. I have mountains of respect for him. So those three musicians, I think Jeff Buckley, Kurt Cobain, and Harry Styles. David Bowie. Oh, yes, David Bowie.
Yeah, the late David Bowie, yeah. He was with Queen in the Freddie Mercury tribute concert before in 1992. Continue on.
Bowie's in everything. I mean, Bowie's like the Bach of contemporary music. I think.
Wow.
But yeah, Michael Jackson. It was a phenomenal concert, and as I said, I was intrigued to actually witness it because in interviews he's so fragile, but on stage he's anything but. He's a huge phenomenon.
Yeah.
Performance. Yeah.
And I know that it was very heartbreaking after he died. I don't know if Michael Jackson or Prince after their death, which is like a few years after their death, but it's really remarkable. Also, I forgot to say this. Tyler Armstrong is also a fan of Michael Jackson too.
Oh, I know.
Tyler Armstrong, yeah. Yeah. At least they tried. Continue on.
Oh, I know. We've talked about him, yes. And also,
That's awesome.
Buddy, the Michael Jackson impersonator.
Wait, what now?
Oh, Buddy, the Michael Jackson impersonator
Yeah.
on Instagram. Buddy Cat? Oh, how can we not remember his name? He knows who he is. But anyway, yeah. It was funny when I was in Las Vegas for the Have you got time for another story?
Oh yeah, we know.
Yeah.
When
So the stories already, you know.
We love hearing your stories. They're really cool.
In Las Vegas for the Liberace celebrations. I think it was the 1992 ones in May of 1992. It was the first year that the Liberace Foundation had decided to create what they called the Liberace Legend Award. And it was an award that was to be given to performers and celebrities in recognition of their work. Like one year Siegfried and Roy received the award. The evening I was there, and the very first recipient of the Liberace Legend Award was Debbie Reynolds. Do you know Debbie Reynolds?
Debbie Reynolds, the who portrays Charlotte and Charlotte's Web, the Nana and Kim Possible and so forth. Yeah, I heard of Debbie Reynolds. Continue on.
Princess
Yes, from Halloween Town.
Yeah.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah,
Continue on.
I know her from Halloween. Yeah.
And I actually had dinner with Debbie Reynolds. I actually sat at arm's length across from her at a table. And
Oh my
I was talking
goodness.
to her.
That's
I
awesome.
know, and I have to say, she had the most beautiful skin. Like, she was a radiant woman and very beautiful. But she was being presented with this award, which from memory was a crystal candelabra, because the candelabra was Liberace's logo. But at this awards night, I was standing with another pianist friend there at the museum, waiting for this award to be presented. And I saw, this was 1992, I saw what I thought was Michael Jackson walking towards me.
Wow.
And I looked at my pianist friend, the fellow that was I was with, and I think he saw the blood drain from my face because Michael Jackson was sort of coming up to me. But it turned out to be the Michael Jackson impersonator that worked for the Legends show in Las Vegas. And the curious thing about it was that, you know how Michael Jackson had the cosmetic surgery and whatever.
Yeah.
This impersonator had actually had cosmetic surgery to look like Michael Jackson after Michael Jackson had cosmetic surgery. So it was kind of, but he looked exactly like him. It was like,
Yeah.
you know, it was kind of scary. But yeah, so that was
like 12 years now.
Sorry?
Which I know that I guess you could say. Well, that's what I was trying to say about it.
How long has Michael Jackson been gone now?
Like for 12 years now, like June 25th, 2009, that's what.
Yeah, I was only almost 14 when this happened. Continue on.
They died. So I was about like 5 years old since when that happened, because my birthday was June 26th and I was born in 2004.
That was like 2 days before I came to be 14. Continue on.
So
What's your favorite Michael Jackson song?
I don't know. I honestly have no idea. I like so many like Michael Jackson. I'm just like my 5 favorites. Okay, definitely Jam, Bad, Smooth Criminal, Blow on the Dance Floor, and well, there's so much amazing Michael Jackson songs.
My two, and I play them against one another whenever I listen to it. Miss Childhood.
Yeah.
And the one is to do with the Earth and What Have We Done? I can't remember the title of it right now.
Excuse me. Yeah.
Is it Earth Song? I don't know. I can't remember. Yeah, those. But yeah, I mean, he you can't deny that he was a phenomenon and a living phenomenon. And
Still.
his dancing was extraordinary. Like the Billie Jean film clip is just.
Exactly.
Yeah, especially the 1983 his first ever moonwalk.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah, and I'd say my favorite. This is probably one of the first.
I want to get Mischief the Monkey to do the moonwalk.
Yeah. One of my favorite songs is Black or White. That was probably one of the first Michael Jackson songs I've heard.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorites is Beat.
But I mean, these are phenomenal people, and I think they're an energy that
yeah. I know that Michael Jackson was going on tour, like which is like his last ever tour, which is like This Is It tour, and then
If you watch Zach Pierce late that minute 18 in heaven, just for you. Continue on.
that didn't happen because of his death, which is super unfortunate.
Did you see the movie? Did you see the film This Is It?
Well, Michael Jackson was originally going to do a tour which is called This Is It, but his
the documentary movie, the documentary film called This Is It. Did you see that?
I knew about that movie.
There's a wonderful scene in it, and it's years since I've seen it, and I articulate it.
Yeah.
There's one moment, I think, when he's in rehearsal or whatever, and he stops rehearsing, and he says something about being bathed, about the sound like being bathed in like moonlight or something. I can't remember, but it was a beautiful thing that he said, and
wow.
Yeah. No, I mean, but these people are the real thing. They're what I call the real thing, and I think that what they do, and this is the same with Jeff Buckley, especially, and Prince and whatever. Yeah. Again, and with Liberace, showmanship aside, there's humility in their heart, and that gives them their strength to do what they do. And it's actually a very beautiful thing.
Yeah.
I don't think you can create like that and not say believe in God.
Yeah.
Because God is your imagination. Whether you
I agree.
I mean, I'm not saying God is a person, but it's the energy at work in this world that sees us survive. And when you do something creatively, you are engaging yourself with that energy that we call God or love or whatever. And that's what gives you the sustaining power to do what you do,
Still.
Yeah. So I want to go over some things about. So from earlier that, well, I'm just gonna say that, like I said, I'm sorry to hear about what like died and all, and especially what your experience before you became part of Wiggles. It's like the playing the Libera's like celebrations. Also, shout out to you, Will Wagner and Tal Armstrong about the Mission of the Monkey for you did like Phillip said, you both did a fantastic job. Okay, this is kind of interesting what I'm about to say. Since you really like super like to Mission of the Monkey, I'm kind of wondering like what happened if Mission of the Monkey was like a Wiggly friend. Mission of the Monkey was actually the first mascot before.
Yes, I believe so. I believe so. I remember one time, it was not long after I'd written Mischief the Monkey, meeting Anthony at Sydney University, not the university where he'd studied, but on the grounds at Sydney University. And we were, just him and I, myself.
Yeah.
We were looking towards creating a film clip for Mischief the Monkey, and the jungle, like that Mischief the Monkey would be in, the leaves that would fall from the trees would turn into musical notes as they fell. but that wasn't to intro. And it wasn't until 2011 when I read Greg's book that I learned that for the first few concerts that the Wiggles did, Mischief was the mascot. At least Greg says that in his book. I did not know that. I did not know that Mischief had that profile in the very beginning with the Wiggles at all.
It's fine. It's 3 years ago, so pretty long time ago. You might probably don't remember some things.
I have a whole mountain of ideas that I keep throwing at Tyler Armstrong and Will about Mischief, like Mischief the Moon Monkey doing the moonwalk or something.
That would be amazing. Not too long ago, like I was imagining like if Mischief like were to have his own like TV show or something.
He's got an ego. He would need the best dressing room. He would need a mountain of bananas. Mischief.
And then he goes on to be like one of the most popular children's characters like out there.
Wow. It's destiny. It's going to happen, I think. I don't know. But yeah, he's kind of, he's a good fellow, Mischief.
Yes.
Or think about this. He could come back into the Wiggles. Like, they got Bach now. Bring him back as a puppet.
Oh, yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah. Bach was actually, Rosemary Hall used to have a puppet that was her mascot when she taught classes, and it was named Bach. And the name Bach came from the Italian composer Boccherini. And he used to carry Bach with her to classes, and he'd sit beside her when she taught. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
That's worth it.
yeah.
That's awesome.
So I think we're almost to like wrap, but I'm gonna give like a couple of So what happened is that, from my sense here, is that after you're not of course after debut album in 1992, where you're not in of course not Wiggle anymore, is that where you signed a little bit for the Here Comes the Song album, like for the future albums, which we already been mentioned that, but to be honest, I'm super blessed that so much fans still remember that we talked about earlier, and as well for okay, so I have an interesting question here anyway. So two is, one, what is your favorite instrument instead of piano? And two, so since you made books and all, do you have a favorite book? I know you said later, Pat in the earlier, that you're not really much into your work, but if you do have your favorite book that you most enjoy doing it anyway, then what is your favorite?
Okay, my favorite instrument, and even my favorite instrument to write for as a composer, is the cello.
Wow. News are different on the cello. It was more of Bernard Hoffer, who did For the Cats and PBS NewsHour difference in 1975 to 2015, who now hold hand over to Ed Kaloff, who did The Price is Right and other game shows and news shows. So at the time he did compose the NewsHour's new theme. So in 2015 to the present. But with Bernard Hoffer, oh my god. He composed everything with the cello and other things in 1983, the NewsHour, Manila NewsHour 1983, to around the same time they orchestrated everything version of the NewsHour in 2006. Which is great. The orchestrated version, yeah. Excuse me, misspoke. Continue on.
Because the sound of the cello, it aligns itself with the human voice, so naturally. And regardless of what anyone might say, music, first and foremost, is a vocal conception. It doesn't matter what instrument you're writing for, whether you're writing for a flute, a cello, or the orchestra. It is first and foremost a vocal conception, because the first music ever came through is birdsong. Okay, so you think, as a composer, I think of music melodically. I think of it as song, regardless of what instrument I'm writing for. And the cello is the one instrument that seems to sit well.
Wait, what is it again?
I think of music melodically. I think of a song, regardless of what instrument I'm writing for. And the cello is the one instrument that seems to sit well within my own voice, speaking. And it's an absolute joy to write for. I wrote, there's a double CD out called The Voice of Love, which is actually dedicated to Rosemary Ether, the children's host who, I was telling you about that I used to write to as a child. And it is all music for cello and piano. And the title track on that book, on that double CD, The Voice of Love, is dedicated to Rosemary Ether, which is the different Rosemary, of course, to Anthony and Maria Gregg Seizure. What was the other question you asked me? Oh, about books. Do I have a favorite book of my own?
Yep.
The one I'm. Okay.
Phil, look at this. You had your book.
In Flowers in Flight, you'll find all the poems that I wrote for Here Comes a Song that never eventuated.
Very true.
As well.
Which I have those 2 books.
And there's a children's pantomime in there, or what was going to be a children's pantomime called Bebop, which is about a queen bee and her drones and whatever. But my favorite book, I would say, would be the one that I'm working on at the time. Whatever that book is. But again, I don't follow myself. I don't keep tabs on myself, so I don't read.
Okay.
In the more philosophical, I suppose, inspirational type books where I'm just jotting down inspirational thoughts for people, the books that I've called Heart Matters, I've had people quote me back to myself, and I have no idea what they're talking about half the time, yet I wrote it.
Wow.
So I don't know. I don't really. Anything I do, anything I create, I leave it because I let it go because it has to live a life of its own after you've done it. And I don't do anything for myself. I do it for whoever comes along that might find enjoyment out of it or inspiration out of it. Because the whole point about life is moving forward all the time, and you have to do that when you're creating as well. You can't stand still. You've always got to look to the future and positively move forward. Move forward.
Yeah, very true.
And you learn that from nature too, because at the crest, at the crest of each wave is the new wave that's going to come forward in the sea. It's everywhere in nature. Everything moves forward, and sometimes you take a step back, but that's a reflective moment. You must always move forward, and with hope in your heart as well to do it.
Yeah. So earlier that Wyatt told me that I can actually do Dorothy voice. Can I hear of my Dorothy voice?
Yes.
You do the Dorothy voice.
Yeah, he does it for baby fans.
Yeah.
I've seen you dance. You've got pretty awesome moves. I've seen you dance.
There you go. Got another fan.
No, seriously, you could have taught me. You could have taught me how to dance for the Wiggles. Because I'm pretty
much because you know the Wiggles, and after you're way after your days.
Oh,
man.
But when you say you do the Dorothy voice, are you saying that you do the voice that Mari did during the song?
Wow.
He does his own version of it.
Yeah, I was about to say he's developed his own kind of Dorothy voice.
Yeah.
Well, let's hear it. Oh, that's awesome.
Wow.
I used
pretty awesome.
to be able to pull off a good Dorothy voice, but as my voice matured over the years, I've kind of lost that ability.
Oof.
Wow.
Who's that speaking now that just said that?
That's Chris.
Yeah.
Okay, you've got a really good resonance. You've got a fine resonance to your voice.
Yeah.
And it's a good sound. It's a good sound.
Thanks by the way, Phillip, that you like my Dorothy voice. And,
Yeah. You can teach him some old moves. I'd love to see that Jakey versus Great dance off.
Jake.
It's very interesting that Maury actually did the voice for Dorothy on your days, and same as for Paul Field. That's really amazing. So the moves that he done for cockroaches. It's very amazing, and how much Dorothy voice it has over the years. So
I have no idea of. I haven't followed the Wiggles all these years. I don't know much about them really since my time with them. So, and it's only been this year with the 30th anniversary since people have been sending me messages, and I've actually formed new friendships such as Tyler and Will and yourself, and it's rather lovely. That I have new friends in my life, and but I don't really know much about the Wiggles' careers since and what.
Yes, you don't really know much, but like so, after Wiggles fans told you, and you know more, a little bit more about the Wiggles.
Yes.
So it's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And they're still going to this day.
After
Is
30
what
years,
was
and Anthony's still Wiggle after 30
Yeah,
years.
Yes, I've seen
It's
that.
crazy. Like literally goes to show that no matter what age you are, you can still be a Wiggle.
Yeah, and according to my status right now, Emma left the Wiggles and she headed over to another Wiggle. I'm not sure who, but according to my status right now, Emma left the Wiggles. But it's just I'm not sure what is gonna happen next to the Wiggles. Continue on.
Yeah.
When did Murray and
Martin Murray,
Jeff
Greg,
and-
definitely 2012.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's quite
Chris
right.
actually
It's almost 10
Chris
That's
actually
almost 10 years
won
ago.
the final show.
I touched base with Greg back in 2011.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Because when he
yes,
when he someone a friend had told me that he'd written about me in his book in the Wiggly Genesis, I think is the title of the chapter. And he wrote kind things about me. So I went on board.
I'm so glad the Wiggles still mention you, especially Greg and Anthony though. I'm glad though. They still respect you and they would everything you've done.
Greg has paid me probably the most tribute than anybody, I think, and I'm grateful for what he wrote.
And it's worked for the Wiggles too.
Yes, and
the OGs and everyone else.
I emailed him at the time back in 2011 to thank him, and I knew he'd had some health concerns back then in 2011. So
Yeah.
Because he wasn't really Wiggle at that time, so just because there's always back and stuff. But
And then of course
Yes.
last year
he replied back to me, and in his reply he wrote me that my contributions to the Dabo album shouldn't be forgotten, which was very very kind of him. But that's the only contact I've had with him since then. That was 10 years ago. Yeah.
For the band started, that's why I called the debut album, So.
Chris, go
But
ahead.
I believe. Sorry?
Chris said something about something that happened last year with Greg.
Oh yeah, of course the thing that happened last year with Greg's cardiac arrest.
Yes,
Yeah.
I saw something about that on YouTube, but I believe he's...
Yeah, which by the way, I read about this during my Friday show episode number. I can't remember what episode it was, but at the time I read a report about that with my and David, my co-host at season 6 at the time, wasn't there. He was in his own thing while I was doing a report on Greg Page, doing this thing. But that was like days before the loss of my inspiration, Jim Lair's death. And I'm like, holy crap, my jaw's dropped and everything when I lose an inspiration like this. Jim Lair would have been having a healthy life, and I lost inspiration. So there you go. Continue.
Doing well now, and he's actually a sports person.
Yeah.
He's part of Heart Nation and for LEDs or something that's called for like.
You know what? It kind of harkens back to what I said earlier. I think about turning any hardship you have in your life into your hardship.
Right.
And sailing on through, and I think if you have anything negative that happens into your life, no matter what it is, you can turn it into a positive, and that's clearly what Greg has done, and he should be commended.
Very awesome. So.
Yeah.
So we're almost to a wrap here. So if any people wants to see your YouTube channel or your social media, where you can find them.
Oh, the YouTube channel is just under my name. But you won't find it. Basically, I think there's over 300 uploads, over 300 pieces of music there.
Wow, that's a lot. Yeah. At the time, I have when I'm uploading my channel, which I'm you have 300 plus, and I subscribed to your channel recently, Phillip, and my Luke Jeffers channel recently, which by the way, I subscribed to your channel, by the way. has like over 4,300 plus videos. Let me see how much videos I got now. Let's see here. 4,360. Wow, that's huge. But continue on.
That I've written, but you won't find. It's mostly all performed by other musicians who have recorded my works.
Yeah.
I don't play much. There's one or two where you'll hear me playing, but it's one of the pianists that first recorded any piano works of mine. Her name is Janelle Carrigan, and I owe her a most enormous debt of gratitude, because I think without her having taken up my music in the first place to record it, I would not have the profile I've got. And she's worked with Gertz Richter, who is her husband, recording my music as well. Mina Coe, a cellist, and and John Martin, the Australian pianist, has recorded my music, and a lot of people. And I have the best publisher. I have Anne and Brennan Keats, who run Wirrapane Publications. They look after me very well, and they look after all Australian composers very well. So I'm blessed to have them in my life as well.
Yeah.
You're awesome. I'm so glad for with all of that, what the Wiggles done. So, also where people can buy your books.
People buy
Not from bookstores. You can't get them in bookstores. You can get them from my publisher, Wirrapane. And I always have copies that I can send to people as gifts as well, which I like to do. I prefer more to give my things away. Even my music, I prefer to give it away rather than.
Yeah. I can't, cause I haven't seen your books yet, cause I will have to get Amazon at least. I don't see your books at Amazon anywhere, Phil, but that's just me. Continue on.
Make money off it, because I've always felt that I came into this world to write music, not make money,
Yeah.
But yeah, so I like to make gifts of things to give them away.
Very
Yes.
awesome.
So
Probably can just send it to Wyatt, Chris, and Matthew.
Of course. Look, if you touch base with me in a private message somehow, I'd be happy to send you things.
Yeah, at the time being, yeah. I'll send you messages, but when I send you links on my reaction videos, I'll do that for you via private message. But in the case with Amazon, with books and other things random, I haven't got it yet. It was out, and true story, I'm also from America, and I'm born and raised there in Georgia. And then I'm fat, and the matter of fact, I was doing other things but making Elgin content. I also react to your thing, your music, and that was episode 8 of Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show. And if you watch this now, Phillip, this is for you. Continue on.
yeah, that would be nice. Thank you. So one more question. If anyone wants to get into piano or just music in general, do you have any advice for someone who wants to get into that?
Do you mean get into it as in finding a teacher, or what would be my best advice?
Done.
Anyone who wants to have music as a career, composing.
Well, I mean, if you haven't already studied music, you have to get a teacher, of course, and learn it. But I think my advice to anybody in life, and like I've said before, no matter what you're doing, whether it's music or whatever, the best thing you can be is true to yourself, because when you're true to yourself, you're honest to others. And I think music, it can be a bit of a cutthroat business.
Excuse me.
There are some, I think, in larger recording industry type affairs, an artist can be treated more like a commodity rather than a human being. That can be a bit tricky to deal with. That would not suit me. That would not suit my personality, which is why with my publishers, Anne and Brennan Keats at Wirrapane, I'm very happy to be with them, because it's just a small thing. And but they are interested in me as a person as well, and they've done a lot for Australian music. But yeah, I'm not going to talk about music specifically. I'm just going to say that no matter what you're doing in your life, be honest with yourself, and then you're honest with others, and as much as possible, live your life as history in the making, because that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
And it's how you want to be remembered when you leave this earth or whatever. You know, think about how you want to be remembered and live your life according to that. And understand that everything that is sent your way is a blessing, and it's what you take from it, it's what you do with it, and that really matters more than anything else.
Yeah. So if you guys want to follow his YouTube and his social media, it's going to be in the description below, so you don't need to search it up and everything.
It is. Thank you.
Yeah, my conversation, PBS station, from viewers like you. Thank you. Now back into the show. Good deal.
Thank you for that.
You're very welcome. So, before further wrap up, is there anything you're trying to say, Wyatt?
No.
Thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to do this.
Yes.
Oh, look, it's my dad. It's actually happened at an opportune time, because my father had a fall the Wednesday before last, and he's in hospital at the moment. He's doing well though. He's 98.
I'm glad he's doing well.
Yeah, I'm glad he's doing well as well, but the thing is, he's almost at 100, man. Yeah, I just feel like, I'm not being harsh to Phillip Wilcher, but that's just me at the time, but your dad was a great man. Continue on.
I'm really glad you really take care of your own father, which is really a good person that you can be. So
this has happened at an opportune time, in that I can actually pay attention to you and give you something there. So it's worked out rather well. And honestly, it's more of an honor for me that you've invited me onto your show, and that
you're very welcome.
Yes, it's been an honor having you on.
It's been an honor here. So honestly, I can't wait. All of us we appreciate you having on the show, and I can't wait for more into the future. Oh yeah, one thing we have to do is can you
Hopefully we can have you back on here with Greg or Murray.
Oh yeah, who knows? Who knows really? Who knows?
Anyway, request.
Who knows really? Well, you said what?
I missed. You were going to say something else, though, weren't you, Jake?
So, since we're about enough here, it's a good time to do so. Is it fine for you recite Mischief the Monkey?
I can't.
Oh yeah, I knew.
I haven't got a mischievous voice like Anthony.
You can't just speak by your own. You don't need.
Yeah, but when I read it, it said it's part of the Dalmatian. Yeah, but it's continue on.
You do Mischief voice.
Okay, I will pretend I'm just maybe talking to one child or something. Mischief the monkey, bananas galore. He'll eat a whole bunch and cry out for more. If you search through the jungle, you'll see what I mean. He's gobbled them up, all yellow and green.
Yellow and green.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Very awesome. It's really interesting that. Okay, I have to say this fact here, that the Wikipedia and everything that I said that you speak the song, but you said to me that it was actually Anthony.
Yes, he's reciting the actual verse on the CD.
And awesome. I don't know who the heck was thinking Phillip sing Anthony did the song when he didn't do it, when lots of people thought it was you did the song. Probably because you wasn't really part of the album and you just write stuff and I think people know that you write the song and maybe thinking people know that you recite the song. Probably that's why you think it's you, but it was actually Anthony. So
no, you'll hear me.
I'm glad you say that you get the right information, because the more right information we got, the more understanding those fans can be. So thank you for that.
Yeah. You'll hear me sing on Spot the Dalmatian. I sing
very cool.
I sing the verse that starts off, "Fill the platypus, lost or start still." That's me. And I think I'm unfroggy. Well, I think I seem unfroggy as well.
Yeah.
Very awesome.
Yeah.
Big Tyler, one of his Roblox bands actually does that song now.
With Tyler.
Yeah, one of his Roblox bands does that song, aka Spotlight Animation.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yep.
okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm so glad people just sit still, sing and talk about the debut album, which is super nice. And hopefully in the future now, we can get somehow we can get a release of the debut album. Who knows? But anyways, all I'm gonna say is again, thank you so much for having on our show, Phillip, and see what's happening. More.
No, it's my absolute pleasure, and thank you for inviting me. And
You're welcome, mate.
And stay in touch, okay?
Oh, of course.
Of course, all of us are
Definitely.
in touch. You're amazing. You're an amazing person, Phillip.
No, I'm not. No. You're amazing. Thank you again, and I hope everything is fine over there in
It is.
America.
It is in America, and it was amazing. Continue on.
Oh, thanks.
So,
Thank you so much for words. Yeah, right?
Okay.
Would you come back in the future?
To the show,
Yeah.
to your show, and be interviewed again,
Yeah.
or do you mean back to America?
On the show in the future.
Yes, of course, if you wish. Why not?
Very awesome. And lastly, sorry about this, but if any people thinking about like you be a part of the project, like for you can say about it, because I know what you're trying to say, what I mean about it, Chris. About like where Phillip, like in the future, he like somehow he'll be a part of some stuff for the Wiggles for 30th anniversary.
Yeah.
Would I be a part of anything?
For a 30th anniversary, because if Anthony or Greg or say something to you about being a part of something for the Wiggles for a 30th anniversary, would you be down for it?
I don't know. What I would like to see happen more than anything would perhaps be the re-release of the debut album as a global fundraiser for COVID.
I agree. As he mentioned earlier in my Elch Reacts episode, which I react to. Continue on.
I think that's a viable idea.
I understand where you're going from there, and
Yeah.
it seems as for
And according to PBS NewsHour, which I read before, and I quote, the pandemic exposed how unappropriate and broken the nation's child care system is. Shattered the idea that child care is everybody's private child is negative. And I agree with that. An expert at the National Women's Law Center told us. And I'm not going to watch this because I was reacting to this, but that's just me. Continue on.
like with the future, what's going on with the shirts that's there now, the 91 shirts. It's really interesting that the first shirts, the fashion shirts was before the skis happened. Now shirts is now like color now, which is
yeah.
I mean, even with my own life creatively as it is now, I can't really make any promises to people while I'm caring for my father because you know he's 98, he has dementia, and he needs me. So I can't really, you know, I can't really make any promises to anyone in that regard. So I have to put my father first.
Yeah, and I agree with that big time, with the whole dementia thing with your father. And I felt worried for you, Phillip, and taping this episode means a lot to me, and I'm praying for your father at this point, and Phillip, but that's just me. Do you want?
Yeah.
Of course, from that.
You completely understand now.
Yeah, or say Mischief the monkey to your dad to make him feel better.
Mischief the monkey. Yeah, I think.
Maybe Mischief the monkey can make people like better or happier.
Yeah.
I think there's a legend there in the
Of what you are for making the song.
It was a legend.
And think what he's going to do for people who grow bananas for a living. He's going to put the whole banana business like up there. It's gonna be so yeah.
Well, again, thank you so much, Phillip, for being a part of the show. It's been an honor.
You're very welcome. Not just for us, but as well as for the whole Wiggles fans that they can learn from this episode and more what you've done, and so it's really amazing for people, Wiggles fans, like to know more about you, especially on here. So we really appreciate it from there.
Thank you. I appreciate that opportunity.
You're very welcome.
Love and blessings to you all, and your family and friends.
Yep. thank you all so much for watching, and we appreciate the support and everything, and especially for this episode. Keep subscribe, keep watching more videos of this, more episodes for every Monday, and hope you enjoyed, and see you all for next episode, Jake's Time Nostalgia, and for more later on. Thank you so much for the support, and from all of us to you all, goodbye for now, and see y'all in the next episode. Take care now. Oh, and keep on wiggling, and blessings to you all.
Yeah.
God bless you. God bless you.
See you next time for another.
So that was Jake's Having Nostalgia Show, episode number 8. Phillip Wilcher, composer and original 5th Wiggle. What do I think about this episode? It was amazing. And yes, I have not read comments about Phillip yet, but that's just me. But anyways, guys, yeah, this is for the Wiggles. But anyway, that was episode LJP from me at episode 729. This is very long to tape this episode, especially the Jake's Having Nostalgia Show episode. Hope you enjoy it. Stay tuned for the next one, which is going to be LJP from me at episode 730. Thank you for waiting for me, Alex. If you watch this episode right now, Alex Paris. The next episode I'm react to is scheduled the week of August 16th, 2021 for the 25 YouTube channel, KPR TV. Till next time, this is Joseph. Goodbye, peace out, baby. We get more to be discussed very soon. Till then, Jefferson out. See ya.
Given unto me this life I'll never take for granted, and given all the time I failed to really understand it, I never sought to meet the maker of reality, the one who gave the life that which is always happening, but I tried all the time. I ask, why me? Why was I the one to see things as I do under the moonlight and the sun? Perception is the question, and the giver holds the key.